and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 32. Very happy to be back in YouTube with Daniele Fisichella to analyze the Italian competition. We enjoyed Derby della Capitale. Now, Dani, it's time for Derby della Mole.
Derby della Mole, yes, this is the month of the Derby. Ciao Edu. Next week, Derby di Milano, Derby Scudetto, because Inter can win the title if they beat Cagliari and if they beat Milan. But yes, Derby della Capitale, surely the Roma fans enjoyed it more than the Lazio fans. Very cagey, very nervous. Probably we're going to see the same in Turin this weekend. A lot to play for, of course, Champions League places, relegation places. So yes, a lot to be decided.
Well, Mancini decided that Derby, first goal for Roma in 2 years in a game like this. So, guys, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and now let's go on with the show. And let's start with the loser of that Derby della Capitale. On Friday, we have Lazio, Salernitana. I guess that is a special game for Candreva. Not sure if he's playing. I guess he will be playing, of course. Candreva, former Lazio player, but this is important for the home team. They lost the Derby. They lost the Andata, the first leg in Coppa Italia against Juventus. So it's time to bounce back against the worst team in La Liga. They beat Juve at home in the last Serie A game when they played at home in the Olimpico.
It's very interesting to see Lazio now, after a very tough calendar, Juventus twice and the Derby, in a game where they are expected to dominate, where they are expected to have a lot of the possession, and see if they continue with that aggressive style that they showed, especially in the first game against Juventus. Because we know Tudor teams are high-scoring sides. With Verona, he ended the season with 3 players in the double figures, and also with Marcel, scored fairly a lot of goals. So let's see what kind of approach they have. It will be interesting. But look, at the moment, Lazio are in no man's land. They are 9 points behind Roma. It's very difficult. They're going to play in Europe, even in the Conference League next season. So probably the last 7 games of the season, they're going to be a little bit of a farewell tour for the over 30s, for Immobile, for Luis Alberto, for Anderson, for Pedro, Lazzari. They're all going to leave at the end of the summer. I think Tudor wants younger players, maybe they got more points to prove, players that can sustain the physically demanding style of play of the Croat manager. So Lazio have got 4 easy fixtures at home. They play Verona, Empoli, and Sassuolo. And this is an interesting one because it's the 10th best attack in Serie A, so very bad attack really for Lazio, against the worst defense, Salernitana, only 2 clean sheets this season, but Salernitana also have problems up front. Why they are bottom? Because they gambled this summer they were going to able to continue scoring in the same way they did last year. And Boulaye Dia has scored 12 goals less compared to last year, and Salernitana overall 12 goals less. And of course, they keep conceding a lot of goals. Yes, I mentioned to Candreva, almost 500 games in Serie A. Sad to see him relegated. Probably might be the end of his Serie A career. Look, Lazio at home, they've been very stingy. They only won 2 games by more than 1 goal margin and only score more than 2 goals at home in 2 occasions, just in 2 occasions in Serie A, against Atalanta and against Frosinone. So it's very difficult to back them fully, perhaps, and over 3.5 goals, over 3 goals. Look, I go for Asian handicap minus 1.5, 199 for Lazio. So maybe a win 2-0, 2-0, 3-1 maybe. Salernitana do tend to score. Lazio defensively are not perfect. Yeah, that's why they're very high odds.
We were seeing Immobile's numbers, for instance, very poor compared to other season. 8 goals, I think really? I saw in Oddspedia.
It's not even. There is no Lazio player in double figures in Serie A, and the top scorer this season is Immobile with 10 goals in all competitions. So an extremely poor return.
Well, Ashley from Honolulu. Aloha, Ashley. I don't trust Lazio ever. I think this is a very wise choice in your life. On Saturday, 3 games. Lecce, Empoli. First one, important for the relegation. Empoli 2 points above Frosinone. Lecce 3 points above the bottom three. Last games, both teams to score. No, for Lecce, Danny, 7 out of the last 8. Lost to Milan, for instance, 3-0. In the last game, Empoli got a great win against Torino 3-2 with Niang scoring in the very last minute to leave that bottom three. They were coming from 4 consecutive defeats. Which team should we back in this case?
Probably none of them. Probably the draw is the most likely result here. These are very similar teams in terms of numbers. Lecce got 29 points, Empoli 28. Same goal difference, really, for the Salentini and the Tuscan side. Lecce only 1 win in the last 8, only scored twice in this period. But strangely, in Serie A, they are 5th for shots. So they average 13 shots per game. Against Roma, they 27. Against Milan, they got 11, 7 on target. It's a team that often goes for it. Sometimes they do lack a little bit of precision, really. And I think they'll try to do the same, but they're very compact, very organized. They play with a 4-3-3 formation. The defense probably is the stronger points, although Vladimiro Falcone, the goalkeeper, has made an awful lot of saves. And when it comes to Empoli, yes, they scored 3 goals against Torino, but their expected goals value in the game was 0.49. So you could say they were very lucky to score 3 goals after 4 scoreless games, where perhaps they deserve a little bit more. Are Empoli going to be under pressure here? Well, the goalkeeper, Caprile, is the second for saves made in Serie A, 11, 3.5 per game. Lecce shoots a lot, so probably the total shots will be over 15, over 16. You can go and look for this market. But, Lecce failed to score in 4 of the last 5 of the Via del Mare. Gotti, they getting more under 2.5 goals. It is a very strange side, Lecce, because they underperformed in attack. Expected goals differential is plus 11.36, so they should have scored at least 11 goals more, but they overperformed defensively, and their expected goal against differential is plus 9.14. So basically, they should have conceded more. So overall, the numbers then level themselves. But maybe at some point, there's going to be an over 3.5 goals for Lecce. If they take all the chances, but equally, they let goals in. Empoli are much more stable in terms of XG or for and against. Lecce, Empoli have been good away from home since mid-December. Only lost 4 away games. Only 5 away games have been over 2.5 goals. But the tough calendar is for Lecce at the moment, for Empoli at the moment, rather than Lecce. Look, Lecce 29 points, Empoli 28. I think to be saved this season, you need at least 35, 36 points, although in the last 2 seasons, 31 would have been enough. So really, a point here, it's great for both, and I think it's going to be a draw. Under 2.25 goals, 186.
We are seeing a lot of draws in the direct clash for the relegation battle, so this could be a good draw, and the odds are always good when we choose the X. Next game, Danny, Derby della Mole, Torino, Juventus. We can check the head-to-head between these two teams because this is not a normal derby. Juventus usually win these kind of games. In Oddspedia, we can see the last 7 years, 3 draws and 10 wins for Juventus. Now that they are a step closer to the Coppa Italia final, Danny, they also are a step closer to the next Champions League with the win against Fiorentina. They have a tough schedule, Juve, Cagliari, Lazio, Milan and Roma next.
They do, and we will find out on Saturday whether they are out of the mini crisis or they are still in crisis mode, because they got 1 back-to-back wins against Lazio and Fiorentina, so 2 good sides without conceding, but the performances have been really up and down, really different, especially against Fiorentina. The first half, Juventus started really well on the front foot. They had 3 goals disallowed, scored with Gatti, another header, the 8th goal from corner, by the way, for Juventus. Only Milan scored more in Serie A. And it looked like Juventus were really pressing high and were really going for the second goals. But then after the break, it became the same old Juve with 9 men behind the ball, playing on the counter. And in the end, Fiorentina finished with 75 ball possession. No goals, but that's normal for Fiorentina. Playing well, creating chances, but not scoring. Chesney had to make a great save to deny Nico Gonzalez. And in the end, you are left scratching your head and thinking, why doesn't Juventus always play like in the first half? Why don't they do this more? Of course, they got the talent, they got the players to do that. Why they are not set up to attack a little bit more? It was good because in the end they won, and it was the 12th time they won without conceding this season. So obviously when you don't concede, you normally do win. But yeah, you do think, why are Juventus so passive and not so aggressive? But when it comes to these fixtures, we mentioned, yes, it's probably the most one-sided derby in Italy. Last time Torino won it was in 2015. They won 2-1. They haven't won the derby in the last 15 games, 12 wins for Juve, 3 draws. But perhaps, considering Juventus had a difficult season, a troubled season, they got the same points as last season in the table, maybe Torino here can sense an opportunity. We mentioned before, analyzing Empoli, they were unlucky, losing to Empoli. Empoli expected goals was only 0.49, but Torino got a big issue scoring goals at home. Torino's home matches are the ones that produce less over 2.5 goals. The problem with Torino is that even when they play well, even when they attack, they don't score an awful lot of goals. Recently, the numbers have improved. They scored in the last 4 thanks to Zapata. Good form. He's been involved in 10 goals since the start of the year. Only Vlahovic has done better. And yes, Torino at home, they are very difficult to beat. I mean, we have to give them that. They've drawn an awful lot of games. Won 3-0 against Napoli, against Atalanta. Only got beaten by Inter and Lazio in a game against Lazio where they didn't deserve to lose. The high odds here are for both teams to score, not much for the over 2.5 goals. I think it's perhaps, again, could be another draw. But this is Torino's season. Winning this game changes the season from an average one into a good one. For Juve, well, they need to avoid the embarrassment of losing a derby after 9 years. Both teams to score 222.
Well, Ashley is going for Juve and under 2.5 goals, something that happens very often. Agostino, ciao da Milano. Tell us, Agostino, AC Milan, Inter Milan, like our
or other teams, because
or other teams.
Juventus. I mean, Milano, there are a lot of Juventus fans.
You can, no, normally you back one of the teams of the city. And RL from the Netherlands. Yeah, we are going to talk about a lot about the Netherlands in the Euros, of course. And Saturday, Bologna, Monza. Bologna couldn't beat Frosinone. That was a big surprise after the 3-0 against Salernitana. Still 3 points advantage with Roma. Last 4 games for Bologna, Dani, surprisingly, both teams to score. No, but in the last game of Monza, for instance, we saw 6 goals with Napoli.
And this is another of those games where you think there is a team that has got a lot of stake, Bologna, and a team that hasn't got a lot to play for, which is Monza. So is it going to be really, really one-sided, or is it going to be a little bit more of a goal fest, perhaps? Look, when we analyze Bologna and Monza, we have to say that these are a couple of the teams outside of the Italy's elite. They play the best football. They like to control the ball. They play in the attack. Bologna are second or third for ball possession. Monza are sixth. So they do like to have a go as well. So they don't play really cagey games. But also has to be said that these two teams have had different trajectories in the last year and a half. Of course, Bologna have got a slightly bigger budget than Monza. But last season, Bologna finished only 2 points above Monza. And now Bologna have got more points in the table than what they did in the entire last season. So, and they are set to qualify for Champions League. Monza, to equal last year tally, they need to average more than the points they got at the moment in the table. They need to get at least 10 more points from 7 games. So it is likely they're not going to be able to reach that mark. But nonetheless, Monza's season has been positive so far. They've never been in danger of getting relegated. They've got a far too good squad, even if it's only the second year in Serie A. And perhaps, with a little bit more of investment next season, they might even try to push for a top 7 finish. Bologna at the Dallara have been excellent. They've only lost 2 games, remain scoreless only in 3 occasions against Milan, Inter, and Napoli. But you wonder whether this is going to be a more open game. Look, Bologna got the 3rd best defense in Italy, but if you look at the big data, the expected goals, and especially the expected goals against, and the differential for Bologna home is plus 6.56. Only Milan has got a higher one, which means, translating it, they should have conceded more goals than what they did at home. And I think after 15, 16 games is a good sample to tell you that Bologna defense at home is often exposed. They like to take risks. Even in the game against Salernitana, Ravaglia, the goalkeeper, had to make a couple of good saves. Monza, on the other hand, they did suffer a couple of heavy defeats this season on the road. They lost 3-0 to Atalanta, Milan, Empoli, but otherwise the record is very, very respectable. To be fair, it's almost impossible to believe Monza going to keep a clean sheet here. They only kept 4 away clean sheets. The goalkeepers of Monza are the ones who made more saves in Serie A, and I think Bologna is a fine side that's going to find the opening, but you wonder whether Monza going to be able to score a goal here. It could be a win for Bologna, as they've done most of the season this season, but it could be perhaps a marginal win. I do like the odds for an Asian handicap -1 for Bologna, 207. If they only win 1-0 to 132, you get your money back. I think it's worth backing it, but do not discard the over 2.5 goals here.
We were seeing our community, Danny, is backing also Bologna to win. The consensus tip that we can see in our website is interesting. Before you bet, you can check what people think about the game. And now there you have it. Our friend Daniel is showing us the percentage of people backing Bologna, or for instance, someone there, Bologna is a handicap -0.5. There you have it in our tips section. Next games, Danny, on Sunday, 4 games. Napoli, Frosinone. Napoli 7th in the standings. 7th go to Europe, Danny?
They do, well, perhaps even 8th if Italy manages to qualify 5 teams for the Champions League. But yeah, 7th at the moment is Conference League. It's all right. Okay. I mean, not as quite as good for the former Italian champions, but better than kicking the teeth.
Well, then Napoli fighting to get into European spots. Now in that position, 7th after the good win against Monza, even if they conceded first. As we always say, be careful when they are playing at home. They are terrible this season when they play at the Maradona. Last game was a heavy defeat against Atalanta and Frosinone. Danny, draws with Bologna and Genoa, but it's not enough. No wins in 10, and now they are in relegation.
And Napoli lost also to Frosinone in the Coppa Italia first elimination knockout round. In December, they lost 4-0. Look, Napoli this season at home, they've been appalling. They only kept 2 clean sheets at home at the Maradona, and their home form has been really bad. They've not been able to defend properly. The high line hasn't worked really well. Of course, 3 changes of managers. And this is really the tail end of a season that has been highly disappointing, where the best they can achieve is a qualification for Europa League. And probably in the summer, there's going to be a big overhaul of players. Osimhen is going to leave. A couple in Zielinski is going to leave. I would imagine a couple more in the back line are going to leave, and there's going to be a new manager. Of course, I don't think it's going to be Franco Calzona. But then again, this is about finish the season on a high, leaving good memories with the fans, because they're getting a lot of stick, really, Napoli players, because of course they are capable of playing better, and you saw it in the second half against Monza. It was magnificent. They scored 3 goals in 6 minutes. Politano and Zielinski's goal have been great, but it was only the first win since the 3rd of March when they beat 2-1 Juventus at home. And the majority of home wins at home this season have been late wins for Napoli. They've been last gasp wins or draws. So yeah, it tells you there's been something wrong. They've lost 5 home games so far, plus the defeat against Real Madrid, plus the defeat against Frosinone. But it also has to be said that Napoli this season have lost a lot of points because the big chances they missed. Kvaratskhelia is second in terms of big chance missed behind Vlahovic, and especially at the Maradona, they should have scored at least 10 more goals. Again, I look at expected goals differentials, so the goals they should have scored. I know the expected goals is not a perfect theory, but after 15, 16 games, you can have an idea. They do create a lot, and they lacked the cool head, they lacked the composure to score, but eventually they might find it and they might score. And obviously against Frosinone, who have conceded 61 goals this season, it looks like a good chance for backing Napoli to score at least a couple of goals. I know Frosinone recently have been a little bit more solid. Di Francesco made a couple of tactical change, starting with a back three. The defenders have worked more in one-on-one situation. But why didn't they lose against Bologna? Because the goalkeeper Turati has been great. He made a great save. Bologna hit the bar as well. It was the third clean sheet of the season for Frosinone, the last one in December. Frosinone haven't won a game since the 21st of January, and away from home are the worst Italian side. Just one clean sheet, 4 points, worst away defense, 35 goals conceded, and they've been beaten by 2 goals or more in 6 occasions. Sule, the star player, hasn't scored in 8 games. I think Napoli, and you'll probably crucify me for this, they're gonna win that, and they're gonna win it quite healthily. But the odds are very good for the Asian handicap, minus 125, 179. What does it actually mean? If they win by 1 goal margin, you only lose half a stake. They win by 2 goals margins or more, you win the full stake. There is a fantastic video on the YouTube channel, which is back active, back there, don't worry about it, with Edu. He explains everything about the Asian handicap. I find it fascinating. Go and have a look.
Well, let's see if Napoli are trustworthy again. At the Maradona, Shula, Oddspedia is a very good website. Please make an app. We are working on that. It's in the plans. Hopefully we can have it in 1 year time. Oddspedia is back, of course. The channel was not done. We were on Twitter, on X, Danny, best on business, and Ashley Osimhen, anytime goal scorer, Napoli, money line. So
yes, Ashley, yes, no, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. Against Frosinone, he scored in the reverse fixtures. Was the first game of the season. Napoli won there 3-1. I think Frosinone took the lead. Osimhen scored, was still under Rudy Garcia, but yeah, Osimhen to score. Yeah, Napoli to win. Yeah, I like it.
Well, games now with the Italian teams involved in European competitions. First one, Sassuolo, Milan. Remember, Milan playing on Thursday, Europa League against Roma. Sassuolo penultimate in the standings. They missed a great chance to get out from the bottom 3. They were leading 2-0 in Salerno, and then they drew. It's 2 consecutive draws against teams in the bottom half, 2 points away from Verona. Milan, Danny, is in the best moment of the season. 5 consecutive wins in Serie A for them. Difficult for Sassuolo.
Very difficult. And by the way, if you want to find out what myself, Edu, and Alvaro have said about the Europa League games, there is a video on the YouTube channel of Oddspedia analyzing every single Europa League game, including, of course, Milan-Roma, Sassuolo-Milan. This is difficult territory because we are recording this video on Thursday morning, so we don't know exactly what's going on with Milan after the games, but we know what's going on with Sassuolo. We know he's a team that has lost 26 points from winning position this season in Serie A, and that's the worst negative record. And if you can't beat Salernitana after being 2-0 up, probably your time in Serie A is up. They only won 2 games since December. They need, I think, at least 9 points for the next 7 games to be saved. Check my words, I think the salvation is around 35, 36 points this season. It's not as cheap as the previous 2 seasons. 4 of the last 7 games for Sassuolo are at home, and next week they host Lecce. So this is it, really. It is the 6 pointers. But can they get at least a point against Milan, who's going to play back-to-back games against Roma? And then there is the derby. Sassuolo only kept 2 clean sheets all season, and in both matches when they kept the clean sheets, Frosinone and Fiorentina missed a penalty. So really, they almost kept 0 clean sheets the entire season. They only lost 2 of the last 6 at home. There's been a change in attitude with Ballardini. They seem to be a little bit more compact and risk averse. They only failed to score in 3 occasions at home, Sassuolo, Atalanta, Monza, and Lazio. They are 8 for shots overall, even if they're without their top goal scorer, Berardi. Now with Milan, we're saying they're winning a lot of games. They're keeping pace with Inter. In the last 11 games, they scored 22 goals. So it's basically 2 goals per game, 4 players in double figures. And yes, since mid-December, they've been really good. They only lost 1 Serie A game. You have the feeling if they haven't had all those injuries and all that bad spell in October, November, probably now we would have a title race in Italy. But their defensive away record is not great. They conceded 26 goals, same as Lecce and Cagliari. Only 1 clean sheet in the last 6 trips. 10 of the last 11 away games for Milan have been over 2.5 goals. 9 of the last 11 have been both to score yes. So you can almost expect a both to score. Whether it's a high scoring game, though, I am not sure because of Milan tough calendars, tough fixtures. After all, it's not a must-win game for Milan, really. Under 3 goals, 187, maybe there is an upset. An upset would be even a draw for Sassuolo at this point.
Well, Sassuolo, they are fighting for their lives. Milan facing Roma in Europa League. Roma traveling to Udine. Udinese, another team involved in the relegation battle, 2 points away. Lost to Inter. Roma beat Lazio, drew with Lecce, beat Sassuolo 1-0. All these were low-scoring games. Perhaps this one is another under, Danny, also with Roma thinking Europe.
Let me put it clearly. I've said it all season. For me, the 3 teams that go down are Salernitana. Well, I mean, you don't have to be a genius to say that. Sassuolo, and one between Frosinone and Lecce. So I don't think Udinese gonna go down, but surely Udinese gonna be there until the very last day of the season, fighting for the relegation. Now, Udinese, character problem, nerves problem. They dropped 22 points from winning positions this season. They took the lead in 14 occasions, only won 4 games. Against Inter, they took the lead almost without wanting. It's a cross from Samardzic, Dumfries, and Sommer goes mine, yours, in the back of the net, typical, but then Inter won it at the end. They were unlucky, I think, Udinese, because they were without the center forward, Lucca, who was suspended. By the way, he's returning. So they had to play up front with Tuavan, which is not be able to hold the ball really well and offer pretty much anything. Inter dominated the game, but scored with the very last kick of the game. Did Udinese deserve a draw? Well, no, because their expected goals against Inter were 0.07, so basically had no shots. It's a team that probably never thought they were going to fight for relegations. Now finding themselves in the relegation scrap. They only won 4 games so far this season, all against top sides. Only won 1 game at home, and they fight against a Roma side that has got 26 points in the last 11. De Rossi is doing an amazing job, not only because it has changed the team mentality, but also has transmitted his passion. Roma play more on the front foot. They're more entertaining to watch, but they're also able to grind out results. The last 4 games for Roma have been all under 2.5 goals. So it's not just about overscoring the opposition. Roma have got a tricky calendar coming up because they have to go to Napoli, Atalanta, Empoli, fighting for relegations. I think this is going to be another under 2.5 goals, to be fair. 8 of the last 10 Udinese game have been under 2.5 goals. But check out the lineups, because a certain Tammy Abrams played for the first time in the derby after 11 months. Maybe he plays from the first minute here at Udine. Over 0.5 shots on target for Tammy Abrams. Why not? Lukaku, by the way, hasn't scored in 5 games. So, yeah, maybe a chance for the Englishman.
Well, Lukaku was giving an assist to Il Faraone, to El Shaarawy, but he hit the woodwork. Roma total over 1.5 goals for Corello. Ashley, Udinese draw specialist. Indeed, 16 draws.
16
draws this season. That's a record, obviously. In the league, RL Roma to win. Let's see how De Rossi changes the team for this game. And the late kickoff is Inter Cagliari. Inter keep winning and winning and winning. You said that is Milan's bad form in October, November, Danny, but the numbers for Inter is you cannot contest these numbers. To win the title, only one defeat, 4 draws is just brilliant. Cagliari also in their way being brilliant. Massive win against Atalanta, coming back from behind, 4 points away from relegation, 3 wins in the last 5. Brilliant again for the Sardinians.
Yes, the Sardinians are fighting really, really well for salvation. They rescued 16 points this season from losing position. Only Napoli has done better, and they keep scoring late goals. They score 8 times in the last 8 minutes of games. Only Roma and Atalanta have done more. But of course, Cagliari case for being saved is being built at home, because on the road they only collected 7 points. Whereas at home, they got a much better tally. I think the win against Atalanta kind of seals salvation for them. Other 5 or 6 points, and they will be there. Good achievement for Cagliari, a team with experience, but started the season not very well. Now, Cagliari on the road, I know they are poor, but they don't normally get trashed. They keep it very respectable. It is a team that sets up defensively, doesn't concede a lot of space, especially centrally. They're going to allow maybe Inter to play more on the wide areas. But Cagliari only conceded more than 2 goals in 3 occasions against Roma, Frosinone, and Fiorentina. And weirdly enough, the goalkeepers from Cagliari are 4th for bottom for saves made, which means 2 things. Maybe every single shot the Cagliari faces goes on the back of the net or hits the post, but also that they are not often under pressure as their position in the table suggests. So it is a team that is capable of holding the opposition outside of the box, especially when they play at home. But now comes Inter, as we mentioned. If they win on Sunday, and then Milan draws a win at Sassuolo, well, another win in the derby next Monday will be enough for the 20 Scudetto for the second star. They are setting a new record. They've set a new record, 31 consecutive games in Serie A, scoring 82 points after 31 games. Only Juventus in 2018-2019 has done better. They got 3 players in double figures: Lautaro, Thuram, Çalhanoğlu, who keep scoring penalties, but Lautaro, who by the way is suspended for this one, and Thuram haven't scored in the last 5. What impressed me a lot from Inter is that with 95, 96 minutes gone in Udine, and they were drawing 1-1, they kept attacking. They finished with 3 strikers on the pitch: Arnautovic, Lautaro, Sanchez, Frattesi. And the draw would have been okay. Inter have already won the league, but they had the ferocity, they had the mentality to keep going and to find the win. So it's really something to be taken into account. But perhaps they're not going to score an awful... I mean, they're going to win for me, no doubt about it. But perhaps they're not going to score an awful lot of games here. They score more than 2 goals only in 2 of the last 8 games. And if you go with the -2 handicap, which is the line on Oddspedia, that would have been a winning bet only in 5 league home games for Inter so far this season, and a losing bet for Cagliari only in 2 away games. So careful with that. Inter, yes, win convincingly, but to cover the -2 handicap, not as much. Under 3.5 goals, 181, or maybe go Inter win and under 3.5 goals, which gives you a little bit more of an edge.
Di Marco +1 shot on target for Ashley.
Yes, probably. I would say so, but be careful because he might play only 60 minutes, might get subbed by Carlos Augusto in the second half, depending on how the game goes. But yeah, it's not a bad shot. I think Cagliari is gonna give a lot of space on the wide areas. They're gonna try to defend very narrowly. So yes, Di Marco is gonna be dangerous.
Okay, well, Danny, save some money this summer to buy the new T-shirt with the 2 stars of Inter.
I will. It's something that you have.
Nowadays, the T-shirt are expensive, the official ones. So you have to...
But we can find the deal, or we will see. I think it's such a unique piece of the collection. You need to have. I mean, when I started supporting Inter, they only had 1 star, and I was looking at Juventus shirts with 2 stars. Now Juventus say they have 3 stars, but let's not go in there because there've been some problem. But yeah, if Inter gets 2 stars, fantastic, because it's the second team in Italy to have 2 stars, and yeah, we'll take it.
Well, 2 games more on Monday. Genoa. Fiorentina also playing Europe on Thursday, 5 points away from Napoli, getting poor results in Serie A, 2 points in the last 4 games. It looks like they are more focused in the knockout competitions like Coppa Italia, like the conference. Genoa, on the other hand, surprised us, beating Verona away. It's only 1 defeat in the last 8 away games. Therefore, Danny, danger in this game.
Danger for Fiorentina. I won't take the 190 odds for Fiorentina to win. They already lost 4 games at home, only won 3 times at home by 1 goal margin, and they only failed to score in just 3 occasions. So probably this is above to score. The top 2 teams, by the way, in Serie A for the number of woodwork hit. Fiorentina 18 times, Genoa 16 times. So the two of the most unlucky teams in Serie A. Genoa decent on the road. They only lost 1 of the previous 8 matches. They average less than a goal per game, though, away from home. Genoa first win in Verona after 4 winless games, but they got a very good tally in the table after 31 games, second only to the 2014-2015 season with Gasperini. For me, Fiorentina are more suited to play in the cup competition. Let's see what they do against Vittoria Pilsenia. Let's see what they do in the second leg against Atalanta. This is probably a bit of a pass, but if you really want to put a bet, both to score for me, 196.
Okay, for instance, who knows, the double chance. Marco loves the draw for this game also. A very good option. Great season for Genoa. Unfortunately, next season we are not going to see Derby de la Lanterna that we all like. And the last...
No, we don't know. Sampdoria are in the playoff position in Serie A. Serie B. It's very difficult to win the playoff, but maybe there is a small chance Pirlo could do it. Someone was mentioning Gudmundsson, anytime goal scorer, 433. Well, by the way, 12 goals for Gudmundsson this season. It's been amazing. Debut season for the Icelandic in Serie A. It's been linked with Inter for next season. So let's see.
Very happy to see probably next season Parma back in Serie A. Group seeing great things from Parma and playing PlayStation with Parma, great players. Last game, Danny, Atalanta, Verona. Atalanta also alive in Europe. Remember, they are playing Liverpool, also alive in Coppa Italia. They have a tough calendar in Serie A. It's only 1 win in the last 6 against Napoli. Verona 1 point away from relegation. It looks like they are going out, but then they are sucked in again. And next game is a huge one against Udinese.
Yes, that's the must-win game for Verona. A win against Udinese, and I think they are pretty much saved. I praise Verona all year after they sold 12 players in January, brought younger players, but this overall has worked really. They achieved good numbers. They scored in 11 of the last 13, something like that in Serie A. They were unlucky perhaps to lose against Genoa. And they play against an Atalanta side that tonight plays against Liverpool. Go and check our video Alvaro myself did about the Europa League. And I haven't got great feelings about Atalanta in the tie against Liverpool, but yeah, please do check it out. And then there is the return game against Liverpool, of course, after this game on Monday. So very, very tight schedule for them, for Atalanta, that are -8 on the table from Bologna, but win the game with a game in hand. They got a good record at home, Atalanta, won the previous 7 before losing 2-1 to Bologna, only failed to score once at home. But Verona, I think here they got more at stake, and they only lost 1 of the previous 4 games. They don't get trashed away from home, Verona. They only lost heavily once this season when they lost 3-1 against Sassuolo. only failed to score twice in the previous 13 games, as I mentioned. Of course, on the road, Verona not great, only 9 points. And yes, the odds are very low for Atalanta. I think maybe Atalanta wins this one, but not with a heavy scoreline. Why not going for a Verona AC handicap plus 1.5, 171? So even if Verona loses by 1 goal, you still win the bet.
Well, it could be a draw as well, easily. In this game, Marco tips plus 2 goals on handicap for Verona.
It's very low. I don't think you're gonna get 140 probably the odds, but yeah, I think it's plus 2 is almost a safe bet for me.
Well, Danny, a lot of tips. Happily, we are back in YouTube. By the way, remember that Danny is in the tipster competitions. You can also participate in the tipster competitions. You just have to sign up for free in our website, and you will have the chance to win some money, prizes, and also have fun. Check what the community says about the games. Not only our great testers, starting with Daniele Fisichella. So, Danny, there you have the Classifica, the standings at the moment. Danny, what is your safe bet? Look, we actually changed now the menu. Now looks cooler in the website, so you can easily
It's
find
great. It's great. It's fantastic. You can
We
check.
are always need to change and to improve the website, of course.
It's great. But you can check. You can check all my tips there, my profit, my yield, and I post on the tipster competition, on the tipster section, every single tip I give out on this program. So I don't put extra tips. I don't put less tips. I try to do exactly the same, so you can see it. It's very transparent. You can follow it, and if you miss the show, you can check maybe the tips. It is fun. I'll invite you to do it. It's a good way to share knowledge. Best bet, you were saying. So yes, the best bet for me this season, this week, is Lazio handicap minus 151.
There you have. ACCA?
3 selections, very high odds. Bologna handicap minus 1. Napoli handicap minus 2. Inter Cagliari under 3 goals. Total odds 11.04. So it's very, very high, but you have the opportunity perhaps to get some money back with the Asian lines, minus 1, minus 2, under 3 goals. Here we got it on the screen. So high odds with a bit of a parachute.
Okay, indeed, you can always play around with the Asian handicaps, with the under, if you feel this is risky. Well, Dani Fisichella, with all his energy to give us the best tips in Serie A. Dani, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.